So in World of Warcraft, there are a variety of achievements that you can go for, whether it be trying to get ahead of the curve if you're a heroic raider, or trying to get your first cutting edge if mythic raiding is more your style, or trying to get your first gladiator if you're a PvP enjoyer. Maybe you've been trying to farm a mount or a piece of transmog, and you've been going at it for over a decade without success. Whatever suits your fancy in World of Warcraft, there are going to be periods where you will fail. You will not get the head of the curve mount, you will not get the gladiator mount, the achievement, the prestige, the whatever you're trying to look for. And it can be very difficult, especially in a game such as an MMO, where there's just so much to do because the game offers a wide variety of content catering to various audiences. We sort of have to pick and choose what we invest our time into within the game. And if a lot of things in the game are going on for a limited time at once, then we unfortunately have to accept the fact that there will be things we just simply miss out on. I know there's a lot of people who are like the whole anti-FOMO and WoW, and a lot of there is this really strange sentiment of entitlement, at least coming from the WoW Twitter side, which, don't even get me started on that. But what's up, folks? Moon here. Today, I'm going to be talking about overcoming failure in World of Warcraft and sharing a little bit of my experiences with it. So, for those of you who may be finding my channel through the algorithm, I know my content's been getting pushed out to a wider audience recently. My initial burst of subscribers came from myself being a PvP YouTube channel. I did this series called Zero to Hero, where I, as a PvP player who's never achieved Gladiator before, tried to go for my first Gladiator. Not only did I end up failing the challenge, I actually went into a net loss. I lost more contacts than I gained. I unfortunately burned bridges with people, be it unintentionally. And in a push for desperation, I played this game to an unhealthy degree where it had a negative toll on my personal life, my physical health, and my mental health as well. And as a recovering perfectionist who would always push myself to the limit to go for whatever goal I'm going for, the failure stung a lot, especially doing so in a public sense. And for the entire vacation I took afterwards, I ended up going to the UK for a little bit. I didn't even know if I wanted to do WoW at all as a content creator. I didn't even know what the hell I wanted to do, because when I started my channel doing WoW PvP, at the time I thought that my personality was WoW PvP, when in reality my personality is detached from it and WoW PvP is just something that I do. Since then, I've grown a lot more fond of Battleground content, and I've been having a ton more fun just doing casual Battlegrounds, chatting with my friends and getting some cool clips here and there, since Battlegrounds are the more accessible form of PvP, especially for you PvE players out there who might want to try dipping your toes in PvP. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned from that whole experience was that the failure of that series surprisingly opened doors to new goals that I hadn't considered before. I went so deep down the PvP rabbit hole for this game that I became completely blind to the other aspects of the game, like raiding, like dungeons, like transmog and mount farming. But I had learned so much about the game in PvP and all that stuff, and I had met so many people throughout the duration of the series that I was wondering what I was missing out on, because PvP, we're like 7% of the player base, somewhere between 7 and 10%, and it's a really strange sensation just getting pulled out of a slump and being able to see the bigger picture, as well as get this sort of rush of energy from thinking of all the possibilities. It's like a spark of inspiration. Wait, oh shit, that's a quest item. Oh man. But what I'm getting at here is that because we really only see success become popularized, you hear people's success stories all the time about how they get these like grandiose achievements and all that stuff, is that failure is a really important part of the process. And while it's a very uncomfortable fact that we have to deal with, it doesn't make you any less of an individual. It doesn't make you any worse of a person or any worse of a player to fail your goals. Leads me to my next point that I want to talk about, which is just learning how to redefine success. Again, we see way too much, on YouTube as well, these success stories, these people that are able to achieve these grandiose achievements, but we don't see what goes on behind the scenes. We don't see the anguish that somebody feels. We don't see the self-doubt. We don't see a lot of that process that happens behind the scenes. And I think that, unfortunately, the internet and internet culture has diminished our capabilities to have empathy for each other. We constantly expect perfection out of people all the time. and especially other content creators, because you see this sort of edited persona of somebody's life and personality. But I think instead we should think of success more so as being a little bit better than you were the previous day. So what does this look like in game? Here, I'll give a little bit of a story. When I got back into Mythic Plus, I got into Mythic Plus during Season 2. I'd completely missed all of the Season 1 dungeons, and so during this remix in Season 4, I, as a healer player, had never done the no-crew defensive before. So when we get to the first boss, where you're supposed to be doing the catapults every so often to ensure that the one-shot mechanic doesn't go off on the boss, I didn't really know that that was a healer responsibility to do. Now granted, you know, every mechanic is everybody's responsibility, but it largely gets delegated to the healer because you don't want to lose a ton of damage trying to move out and away from the boss to do a different mechanic. So because of my lack of knowledge, I ended up wiping the team once. We made a mistake in our second attempt, which wiped the team again, and there was a lot of people who were swearing and cussing at each other and they left the key. Now granted, that was a really negative experience for me, but it didn't stop myself from wanting to do the key. And while at the time it was an unpleasant experience, what I did was I went outside of the game and I researched the dungeon. Okay, what is this mechanic like? What am I really supposed to do here? So when I came back and I did it again, I was able to perform the mechanic with flying colors, and we were able to time the dungeon with a lot of time to spare. So it may be going out and finding that valuable piece of information you need to help you do a boss better, or practice your damage rotation on a target dummy when you've got some downtime. Or it may be learning what a class can do in PvP that can counter your toolkit so that you know how to better fight that class the next time you see it. And while nobody is going to see what you're doing behind the scenes except yourself, I think it's important to acknowledge your small wins when you get them, because it's these small wins that stack up over time which contributes to the larger picture of success, a bigger win, yourself obtaining that achievement that you've been vying for so long. It's less about the grandiose achievement itself as it is the discipline and habits which contribute to your success. Success I can attribute greatly to a maze, for instance. If any of you have ever experienced a corn maze before, where you're trying to navigate this maze that the walls are higher than yourself, so you can't really look over, you don't have any extra information, all you have is the path in front of you, there will be times that you hit a dead end in the maze and you have to backtrack. You have to go backwards so that you can go forwards and find a different path. Yourself hitting a dead end doesn't mean that you're a failure. It just means that you took an incorrect path, and now you have more information to use when working towards the goal of solving the maze or getting out. While we are talking about a video game, World of Warcraft is a video game, I do want to share a little anecdote about myself, the real world. I've been on a weight loss journey. I've been this is my second time losing weight. It's very shameful to say because, you lose weight the first time and then you put it back on. Your first thought is what happened. And I made a YouTube video on my channel about this a while back. I initially was going to make it a series, but I really don't think I am anymore because, I don't know, I just don't want to overhype it because a lot of what's going on behind the scenes are these sort of discipline and habits. But so today's July 15th, but since January 2nd of this year, I've been able to lose a total of 32 pounds just by developing good habits and doing those habits every day. The results have been a little bit slower than I've anticipated, but at least I'm doing it in a way that's more sustainable. And as I work towards the long-term goal of personal health, as opposed to just seeing a number drop on a scale, it's really solidified this new definition for success for me. And I don't feel as though you need to always climb a mountain to have the purpose that you're setting out for, as much as you should just be moving in a direction in general. Because I think if you sit idly for too long without having a goal, without really wanting to do anything, you can get distracted very easily. You can get pulled into online drama. Dare I say, wow, Twitter? Oh my goodness, I could make a whole video on that. But yeah, I think I've talked about everything I want to talk about today, so we'll go ahead and end that there. Again, I've really been enjoying this new style of content that I've been doing, so if this is something that you enjoy as well, it'd help me out a lot if you could like, comment, subscribe, the drill. That's all for today, fellas. Until next time, this is Moon, signing out.